So today day 2 of Docker. Okay, this is just overview of upcoming slides which we are discussing. Right, whenever you execute Docker image ls, you will get this output. What is this? Don't worry, you will learn. Okay, I'm just showing you then overview. Whenever you execute Docker image ls, you will get this information. So what is this? What is this? This is the image name. Whatever you are getting output, this is image name. I will show you practically. Okay, what is this? This is the image version. What is this? This is the, for every image you will have a ID. Okay, whenever I run Docker container, run hello world, right, I will show everything practically. Okay, I'm just showing overview so that you will get some idea. So here image is equal to application. Okay, you can call this image as a application. Now what I will do, I will show you the difference between the normal virtual machine and container. I will create one VM on AWS cloud and I will install Docker in it, and I will create one Docker container, and I will show the difference between using practical. Right, I will execute some commands in virtual machines. Same commands I will log in inside this container, and I will execute the same commands, so that we will get some understanding what is the main difference on virtual machine and container. This is thing we are going to do. And what is this container? Don't worry, we will discuss today itself. How this container was created, everything we will discuss. So what is this Docker image and Docker like tag? I told you right yesterday we will discuss Docker image, Docker tag, Docker container and all. So any Docker image represents some application. I told you right, image is represent a application. Obviously every application will have a version or not. Every application will have multiple versions. So in Docker, to represent application we use name of image, and to represent version we use tag. The convention is image name colon tag. Okay, if the tag is not passed, Docker assume the tag to be latest. Okay, along with image name and tag you also have a image ID. I already shown you right on the first slide. If you see, whenever you execute Docker image ls, you are getting a image name, image ID. If you don't give the tag, by default it will take the latest. Okay, I will show you all these things practically. What are the container options? What you can do with container? This is very important. Yesterday I have attended one interview. He has taken 2+ of hours for me. He has covered everything. He asked me what are the container states directly. So this is very important. You can create the container, right? You can stop the container, you can start the container, you can delete the container, you can stop, unpause. So what are these things we will learn. Okay, and what every container will, when created, what you will get a container ID and container name as well. How you will get image ID and image name? For container also you will get container ID and container name, and we can use the container name as well. If you, whenever you are running any container, if you want to set a new name, you can do that. Docker container run -- name, your container name, and you need to give the image and the tag. So to see container running in the Docker, if you want to see the list of containers, the command is docker container ls. To see the list of images, the command is docker image ls. In the same way, to see the list of containers, the command is docker container ls. To see the status of all the container created by Docker host which are not deleted, like for suppose if you want to see the container which is stopped, if you execute docker container ls, you will only see the running container. In the interview they will ask, I want to see the stopped containers. What is the command? The command is docker container ls -a or -all. Then it will show all the running container as well as stopped container as well. When the container is created, each container gets its own IP address, RAM, right, file system, CPU. Right, every container you will get all these things. What is this container? I will, in the next slide I will explain. So execute docker stats to know the CPU and RAM utilization. If you execute docker stats, it will show the CPU and RAM utilization of every container. I will show this command as well. So on the local server, nothing but on the virtual machine, execute the following command. So I will execute this command. I will execute IP address. I will check the username. Who am I? I will see the host name. Right? I will see the disk utilization. Then after same commands, I will execute inside the Docker container. Okay, then to create a container, command is docker container run. What is this -it? Ignore it. This command is simple, meaning I am creating a container, I am logging inside the container. That's it. These all things you will learn. So what I will do, I will execute the same commands. I told you, right, in the normal virtual machine, whatever the commands I have executed, inside the container also I will try to execute the same command. Same commands. Right, based on all observation, a container looks like a Linux machine inside a Linux machine, that is virtual machine. Like whatever you execute the same output you will get inside the container as well. Just a moment. Right, so Docker image. So based on all observation, a container looks like a Linux machine inside a Linux machine, that is virtual machine. So I will show this practically, then you will get full clarity. Okay, Docker image contains all the necessary files to run whatever like application we want inside the container. Actually, Docker image contains application information. What is the Docker image? How to create that Docker image? What is this Docker container? You will learn. Now, what is the next step? I will install a Java application on Linux machine, and let's try to run the same Java application inside some container and understand the Docker image concept. So before that, let's see container shipment in real life. Right, in the next slide I have shown the process of product shipment to other countries. Like for example, if you want to send any vehicle or bikes from one country to other country, how it will happen in real life. Right, what they will do, they will first take my bike, they will pack and they will kept inside a container safely. Then after, what they will do, they will take that container, they will ship that container to other countries safely. This is what in real time you are going to do. In the same way, if you compare with software industry, this is also same. You will take that application, you will kept inside a container. That's it. Okay, you can ask me how this container is creating in Linux. That is also we will discuss. But you have understood, right? Container usage, it will safely place your product from one country to other country. In the same way, in software industry, if you want to keep your application safe, you need to kept inside a container. That's it. This is the basic logic. So this is the overview of upcoming slide. Okay, what I will do, I will create a container. Right, I will log in inside that container. I will install some softwares and I will convert that container into a Docker image. Okay, this is not a good approach. Same thing, I will create one simple Docker file. Using that Docker file, I will create a Docker image. From that Docker image, I will create a Docker container. This is the real-time approach. Right, this is an excellent approach. Companies are like require only this. So before all this, I want to show what is this container, how this container was creating in the Linux VM. Right, how our containers are created. So isolations on Linux machines are created using a Linux kernel feature called as namespace. In Linux VM already there is a predefined feature is available called as namespace. Using that namespace only, this container was creating. That magic box I'm told you, right, how this magic box is creating. In Linux there is a predefined feature is available which is called as namespace, Linux kernel feature. With the help of that namespace, it is creating a container. What is this container? I told you, right, if you want to keep that safely how product was shipping safely inside a container, inside a box. Here also in Linux also you can create a your own box. This is the Linux feature itself called as namespace. Okay, that box is creating. How that box getting CPUs, RAMs, memory, all these things. So in the same way, there is also a Linux feature called as C groups, control groups. Using these control groups, right, this is the operating system. Inside the operating system, an isolation was creating, right? Isolation is nothing but a container. So this container is creating by namespace, right? Once the container is created, how this container getting CPU RAM using a control groups. But if you want to create this container, you need to write some scripts, which is very thousands of lines of shell scripts. If you want to create a container in real life using Linux feature called as namespace, right? I told you, right, working on namespace and C groups are very difficult, but here comes the Docker to the rescue. Docker engine makes it easy to create isolated areas and resource limits, right? Docker company was make this job very easy. Docker company, no one identified there is already a inbuilt feature is available called as namespace. Using that namespace we can create a container inside the Linux operating system. No one was identified, only the Docker company has identified. They have made this container easily using a software called as Docker engine. They have designed this software, right? If you install this Docker, you can able easily create this container and you will get a automatically CPU and RAM. So how you will create a container? That's the reason Docker has given some commands. So every Docker container has a command that gets executed when the container is created. So as long as that command is running, the container will be running straight. Okay, how container will run? You can ask me. So every Docker container, this is very important. Remember, right? Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we will discuss again. Every Docker container has a command that gets executed when the container is started, right? A command will be executed whenever you run a container. Okay, as long as the container is running, sorry, command is running, container will be in running state, right? Whenever the command is running, if the container will be keep on running. If the command has finished, container will be stopped. So I will show you this as well. So what we will do, we will run a container. So to run a container, Docker container run, right? I will log in inside the container. I will execute some commands. I will convert that image container into a image. I have shown you basic overview, right? Let me first try to, right? I have already created one virtual machine, right? If you don't know how to create a virtual machine, I have already uploaded a video. Okay, if you go to my channel, okay, if you go to playlist, if you go to Linux full playlist, how to create a EC2 instance in AWS, I have already created video. More than 1000 people have already watched that. Try to go and check how to create a VM in AWS cloud, because I don't want to waste. We will going to work directly real time, right? I will log in inside this virtual machine. Okay, how to log in everything I will explain in a video. Now I am inside this VM. I want to install Docker. I don't know how to install Docker. What I will do to install Docker, first you need to update the packages. Once the packages was updated, if you don't know how to install any software, simply do one thing. Okay, it is taking some time. I will just execute Docker, right? It is giving some hint, right? Command Docker not found, but can be installed with. So he is giving hint, yeah, Docker is not installed in your software. If you want to install, execute this command. Okay, I will execute that. Just give -y, nothing but yes, install this software. That's it, Docker will be installed simply. Right, once Docker was installed, I will I told you I will execute some commands, right? I will execute some commands in this Linux VM. Then after I will create a Docker container. Inside that container also I will some execute some commands. How this container is creating? How this container was creating? Using a Linux feature called as namespace. There is already predefined feature available in Linux, in inbuilt feature. Using that namespace, this container is creating. Okay, container is creating. How this container is getting an IP address? Using control groups. These terminologies, it will be very difficult for you, but you are going to learn. Okay, if I execute docker version, right, I'm getting client, but I'm not getting daemon. My mother is not getting. Whenever you execute whenever you install docker, what you will get? Docker client and docker daemon. Permission denied. We're trying to connect docker daemon socket. Permission denied. So because Ubuntu user doesn't have any permissions to execute docker commands, if I execute sudo docker version, it will work. Right? I'm getting the daemon. So in order to execute docker commands in Ubuntu user as well, you need to simply execute one more command. Nothing but you need to modify the user. Sudo usermod hyphen a capital G docker. What is this? I will explain. Ubuntu. Right? I am telling to modify the user, which is Ubuntu. I am adding to the docker group. I am adding Ubuntu to the docker group so that Ubuntu will get a powers to execute docker commands. I will execute again docker version. Still I am getting permission denied. It will not apply. Exit and relog into the server. Then this command will be run. Docker version. Whenever we install docker, what you will get? Docker client and docker daemon. Okay, what are the commands you are executing? That is a docker client. I have told you to download the cheat sheet. Right, I have provided the docker cheat sheet. You need to download it, to take a printout. Using that commands you need to practice. Now I want to run the basic container. Docker container. First let me execute docker image ls. To see the list of images, command, what is the command? Docker image ls. To see the list of the container, what is the command? Docker container ls. Right, now I will run the basic container. Docker container run hello world. Okay, right, client has requested to docker daemon, unable to find image hello world locally, pull the image from docker hub. I told you, right, whenever child cried for a chocolate, mom, what she will do? She will go to the market, she will buy a chocolate, right? In the same way, docker client contacted the docker daemon. Docker daemon pulled the docker hello world image from the docker hub. Docker daemon created a new container from that image, which runs the executable that produces the output you are currently reading. Okay, now I will execute docker container ls. My container is not, I cannot able to see the container. Okay, docker image ls. Why? Right, I told you, right, for every image you will get a image name. I didn't given any tag. That's the reason it has taken latest tag. What is the image id? Every image you will get a image id. Okay, but whenever I execute docker container ls, I cannot able to see my container. If I execute -a, if you see status exited about a minute ago, every container will get a name. By default, docker only gives some name. If you want to give a name for your container, how you will do? Docker container run hyphen name, you can give hyphen name hello world. Right, now I will execute docker container ls -a right? My name was given as hello, but why it is exited, I will explain right away. So what is this command? Hello. I will execute same command, echo hello. How much time it has taken? Seconds. Within seconds it has executed the command, it is come out of container. So container lifecycle depends upon the command. I told you, right? Container lifecycle depend upon the command. Once the command is executed, container will be stopped or exited. So this is very important term. Your container lifecycle depends upon the command. Echo hello, it will take hello world is a simple basic container. If you execute echo hello, it will take within seconds of time. So it has executed hello command, and after seconds it will execute the container. Okay. Now what I will do, I will execute some commands in my VM. This is the virtual machine. Okay. df-h. I can able to see the disk utilization. Okay. I will execute process. I can able to see the process. Okay. I will execute pwd, present working directory. Okay. Now I will execute who am I. I am a Ubuntu user. Now what I will do, I will create a one container, docker container run. I will -it nothing but interactive mode. What is this? You will learn every command. I will explain. Today just overview was I want to show the difference between the container and the virtual machine. That's it. If you don't know all this, we will learn. Right? Docker container run -it. What you need to give? What docker container run, and you need to give the image name. I will give a image name as Alpine. But I don't want to create a container. I want to create a container. I want to log in inside the container. You need to do one more extra thing, -it. Okay, after login inside the container, which terminal you want to use? I want to use a terminal called as bin/sh. Okay, you will not understand all these things. Ignore. I am just showing you the difference. Right, I am inside the container. If you see ash, I will execute the same command, df-h. Observe this, df-h. Same thing I am getting inside the container also. I will execute ps. Same. Then I will execute who am I. I am a root user. Okay. Same, whatever Linux operating system getting, same features inside the container also you are getting. Nothing but container is equal to one server itself. pwd. Right. I am inside the root directory. So I will exit this container. Okay. Now you got little bit understanding. Container equal to VM. Both are same. There is no difference. Whatever feature you are getting for a container, same terminology, same CPU, same RAM, everything is getting for virtual machine as well. So virtual machine same equal to container. Okay. Then how this container is creating? There is a predefined feature available in Linux, which is namespace. Using that namespace feature, this container is creating. Container is an isolated area, a box, magic box. This magic box was created. Linus Torvald is a founder of Linux operating system. He has created this, but no one was identified this. Only Docker company was identified. But in order to create this container, it's not a simple. Okay, it's very tough. You need to write a hell lot of scripts. But Docker software made it easy. By simply executing some commands, you can able to create a container. You can play with that containers. But normally, it's not an easy job to create this container. Okay. Now what I will do, I will create a container. I will log in inside that container. Right now I just log in inside the container. I will execute some Linux command. Now I will install some software inside that container. Okay, before installing I will show you that slides. So let's create a Docker container and install our application in it. So to run the container in the background, if you want to run the container in the background, you need to use -d, detached mode. What is this? Everything will be discussed. So the application which I want to run is Apache server. Right? Apache is just a software. If you don't know about it, ignore. I want to run some basic software inside a container. That's it. I'm running Apache. Apache runs on port 80. Okay, Apache application runs on port 80. So I want to create a container. So if you want to install this Apache software on the Linux Ubuntu, you can able to install that. So in the same way, I'm creating a Docker container. I will take a Ubuntu as a base image. So Docker container run and the image name was Ubuntu. Okay. What is this -p -it? You know -it. If you want to log in inside the container, you need to give -it and the terminal. What is this -p? Nothing but you need to give the port number on which port this application is running. If you don't understand, ignore. Okay. I just want to show. I want to install some software inside the container. That's the reason I'm executing. All this I will explain. Then after you can access the application. I will show all these things. Don't worry. Okay. This might run the application, but it is not a good way, as need to be installation for every container created. So now let me show you that. Okay, what I will do, where is the image at? This is the image. I will log in inside the container. I will install some software, but this is not a good approach. Same thing, I will create a Docker file. Using the Docker file, I will create a container. Okay. So let's install Nginx in some container and create an image out of it. Let's create a container. That I will create one more container. I will log in inside that container. Here I will install Nginx. So from this container, if you want to create an image, you need to execute this command: docker commit container name or container ID. All these terminologies you will learn. Okay. Today I just want to show the how to create a container, and inside the container how to install some softwares. These all things we will learn. So whenever you execute docker commit the container name or container ID, it will create an image. Okay, automatically image will be created from container. If you want to create an image, you need to use docker commit image container name. Right, I will go here. Okay, I will log in inside my virtual machine. Here Docker was installed, right? Docker version. Whenever we install Docker, you will get two components: Docker client and Docker daemon. Now what I have told you, I will create one Docker container. I will log in inside that container. I will install some software. Right? Docker container. What is the command to run the container? Docker container run, right? Docker container run and the image name. I want to give the Ubuntu 22.04. Okay, but I want to run the container and I want to log in inside the container. What is the command? -it, right? Which terminal you want to log in? In Linux there is a terminal called as bash. What is this bash? Please follow the Linux tutorial, you will get an idea. Okay, I want to enable the port for my application. Then what you need to do, you need to add one more -p 8081. What is this port? We will discuss. colon application port, enter. Okay, if you see, image is not available, Ubuntu image, it has downloaded, and I am inside the Docker container. Now I don't want to install any command. I want I don't want to execute any commands. I will directly install some software. Okay, apt update. Okay, apt install Apache 2. Yes. So it will install an Apache software. So if you want to come out of this container, just execute exit. Now I will create one more container, right? I will use another port 8082. I will log in inside that container. Now again I will apt install. I will install Nginx. Unable to locate package. First, whatever you want to do, anything in Ubuntu, first you need to update the package. Then only you can able to install the softwares. I have done mistake intentionally because I want to show. Now I will execute the command. It will work. So in Ubuntu, if you want to install any softwares, first you need to update. If not, you cannot able to download any software. Okay, I will exit this. Now Docker container ls. I cannot able to see any container. I told you, right, container lifecycle depends upon the command. If the command is executed, container will be executed. Docker container ls -a. This is the container ID. Right, using this image I have created this container. Inside this container I have installed some software. So I want to convert this container into an image. Is it possible? Yes. You need to simply execute docker commit container ID or container name. I will just use container ID. So before that I want to see the list of images. Docker image ls. Right, I have Ubuntu image, Alpine image, hello world image. Okay, now using this container I want to create an image. Docker commit container ID. Okay, I will execute docker image ls. Image was created, right? New image was created and it was got a ID. But whenever you create a image from the container, you will not get any name. Okay, whenever you create a image from the container, you will not get any name. You will get only image ID. Now I will come back to our slides. Right, this approach creates image but no history of changes are available. Okay, then you need to execute docker image tag image ID and you need to give the name. Okay, what I will do, docker image, using a tag you can give the name tag image ID my Nginx. Okay, docker image ls. Okay, using a container you can create an image. Okay, but it's not a good approach. I told you, right? See this diagram. Using a container, what I have done, I have installed my softwares, I have created an image. But this is not a good approach. This is the real-time approach. Why I am doing all this, you will understand. You will understand after few days why I have done all these things. In the first class, it will be a little bit confusing, but slowly you will learn all these terminologies. Okay. Now I will go back to the slide. So, right, I have installed Nginx. Then after using docker commit container name and id, I have created a image. Whenever you create an image, you will get only id, you will not get any name. Then after using a docker image tag command, I have give you a new name. But this approach creates image but no history of changes. What is this history? I will explain. So what is this docker file? I will explain. So docker file approach is all about using instructions to inform docker what needs to be done when creating the image, starting the container. So these all terms you will understand. Okay. Docker file is nothing but a simple text file. Okay. In the docker file you will be having instructions. In the last class I have attended interview, I told it what is this docker file he have explained, he has asked me. I told him it's a simple text file. Okay, what will be there inside the docker file, he have told, he has asked me. I have told inside the docker file we will be having instructions. That's it, not more than that. Right, docker file has instructions to containerize the application. So docker file is a simple text file, and the file name should be, you need to give docker file itself. And this is the most recommended approach. You can give any name for your docker file, but docker is recommending to use docker file as a name for every docker file you have created. Right, inside the docker file what I have done, I have just written from Alpine, I have executed a command echo welcome to container. So what is this from, what is this cmd, what is this docker file, we will learn. Today's focus was to from container how to create a image, right, from docker file how to create a image, that's it. So in order to create a image, command will be docker image build -t. If you want to see the images, docker image ls. Okay, now from container I have created an image. Right, now I will create one dummy folder. I will go inside this dummy folder. Okay, here I will create a new file called as docker file. Okay, ls. Right, if you want to edit this docker file, I will go inside this docker file, enter insert mode, I will give from Alpine, okay, cmd echo. I told you, right, every container life cycle depend upon the command, so that's the reason I'm adding command. Hello, this is DevOps easy. Okay, so this is the simple text file. Okay, ls-la, right, dash is nothing but a text file, docker file is just a text file. If you want to create an image, you need to use the same name as docker file. From docker file, if you want to create an image, the command will be docker image build -t. Right, you need to give dot. So docker image build -t, the name of the image which you want to give. Okay, I want to give a name as demo. If you don't give tag, what it will do, it will take the latest tag, right? I don't want to do that. I want to take one as a version. So image name with version with tag. Where is your Docker file present? Dot, nothing but in my current directory there is a Docker file. Go and take it. Okay, if you see, you have executed two steps. Now I will execute docker image ls. Okay, my demo was image created, right, with tag 1. Yes. Now I want to run this container. Docker container run. What is the image name? Demo 1. Right, command was executed or not? Hello, this is DevOps easy. How much time it has taken? It has taken seconds. If I execute same command, echo hello, this is DevOps easy. Taken seconds, right? If I execute docker container ls, no, nothing will be there. I told you, right, docker container lifecycle depends upon the command, right? Container id, what is the image you have used, command, when it is created, what is the status. Okay, it is executed because for executing this command it has taken seconds. So container lifecycle depends upon this command. Today's I just want to show what is this docker container, how container will work. That's the reason I've shown all these terminologies. Eh, all this we will learn slowly. Okay, from tomorrow we will going to learn from scratch. But I just want to show you the difference between this container and normal virtual machine, and how to create a image from a text file. Now what is the advantage, you can ask me. Okay, now if you see this diagram, we can create a, like from container you have created an image, right? From docker file you have created a container. What is the advantage? If you see, you can save this docker file anywhere in GitHub, so that you can share this docker file with your friends as well. He can able to create the docker image. But from container, if you want to create an image, if for one container it's okay, but if there are thousands of container, how you will do that? It's not a good approach. So that's the reason companies will follow. What they will do inside the docker file, they will give whatever the necessary information required for the application to run. So all these terminologies we will going to work. I just want to show you the difference. That's the reason I've added all these terminologies. Yeah, if you don't understand, ignore. Right? Right? I've executed that command, then I got a command. So tomorrow, what I will do, I will going to show one. I'm going to deploy one Java application. Okay. So I will stop the recording.